Teaching is something that not many of us can't handle, especially teaching little children, because they are either busy eating crayons, throwing tantrums, or touching the uranium you have stored away for safekeeping. So with your books open in front of you, let's begin our recap. The manhwa opens with someone asking her what exactly she desires. An incompetent father who spends his days at the gambling station, siblings who are more like a burden than support, and a mother who suffers from depression. Indeed, it is a tragic life. He asks her if that is why she desires the title of Duchess. He asks Margaret to tell him how he can rescue her from such a life. The man sitting before her is a notorious figure, one who annihilated his entire family. And the only reason Margaret is sitting right before him is for one single purpose. Margaret states that she does have a desire, and that desire is simply that he does not kill her little siblings. A month ago, she called for the guard and declared that she had come to inquire about the position of tutor. The guard asked if she was Margaret. He said he had already heard about her from the butler, and so he offered to guide her inside. And just like that, her life shifted dramatically. The first major change is that she became a tutor for this family. Due to the decline and eventual ruin of her own household, she had to step out into the world and find work to do like a common woman. Yep, straight up NPC life unlocked. The second major change is that she also begins regaining her memories of a past life. And she knows better than anyone that this is not some random dream. It is a completely different world, with a level of civilization entirely different from this place. In that other country, where most people had black and brown hair, she worked as a teacher instructing around 30 students. That life ended instantly when she got hit by a car, literally insta-logged out, no respawn. The guard reports to the butler that she has arrived. The butler greets her, introducing himself as Javier, the house's steward. He explains that he has reviewed her resume and finds her actually perfect for the role of teacher. He then says he will escort her to the children she will be teaching, and they can handle other details on the way. It is honestly kind of refreshing that in this world a woman can teach students without even needing a teacher's certificate. Like, imagine skipping years of paperwork just to vibe in class. Javier tells her she will be responsible for Cedric and Cecilia, but her lessons with Cecilia will be more like playtime, since Cecilia speaks a little slowly. Margaret asks if Cecilia is experiencing any sort of difficulty with speech. Javier explains that Cecilia can manage basic and simple words at best. Cedric, on the other hand, is healthy but quite the rascal. He is not mischief incarnate like the young Duke, but still troublesome in his own way. Javier assures her that she will not face too much difficulty teaching him. Yet Margaret knows better than anyone that this is nonsense, because teaching boys is honestly a pain in the back. Like, textbook definition of chaos mode. The butler tells Margaret that she must be cautious about one more thing, and that is to avoid crossing paths with Diego. He says that of course Diego is a good person, but still, it would be better to avoid unnecessary contact while she still can. Margaret thinks this name is her first time hearing it, but for some reason, she feels like she has heard it somewhere before. The butler adds that Diego is actually the half-sibling of Cedric and Cecilia. This makes her flinch, because she knows these names all too well. And it hits her that if this place is the same novel she once read in her past life, then Diego from the Dangerous Duke contract marriage is definitely a name she saw right before her eyes. She forces herself to calm down and tries to recall the details. As she remembers the content of the novel, it all pieces together. The previous Duke of the Bataan family was not a good father. He treated his first wife, Diego's biological mother, extremely coldly because she was unattractive to him. Ultimately, she died after suffering from mental illness. On the other hand, his second wife was quite beautiful, and so the Duke fell in love with her. Thanks to this union, she bore him a son named Cedric and a daughter named Cecilia. Naturally, the Duke wanted Anna's son to be the heir, so he even attempted to assassinate his first son, Diego. Margaret wonders if her recollection of her past life is correct. If it is, then the smart move is actually to run away from this place ASAP. The butler calls out to Cedric that the tutor he mentioned last time has arrived. Cedric, however, reacts instantly, asking what the heck this stupid thing is. Margaret remembers in that moment that she herself is also a character in this novel, and soon she is fated to meet her death at the hands of Diego. Cedric declares that her plain glasses make it impossible to look at her, so how is he supposed to fight demons while staring at that? Meanwhile, Margaret is on the other side, thinking that regardless of his comments, her true responsibility is to protect her students. Margaret is just walking around when suddenly someone calls her over, telling her that it's the perfect timing. The lady waves her closer, saying she should come and take some apricots because they look perfectly ripe. Margaret notices right away that they are ridiculously huge, like oversized cartoon fruit. The lady insists she should eat them to stay healthy. Then she tilts her head and wonders aloud if this is really Margaret's first time working at a governor's house, because she looks so cheerful. Margaret just smiles, saying it's all thanks to Cedric and Cecilia, since those two are basically her lifelines. It's already been a whole month since she found herself dumped into this crazy situation. She's been trying hard to keep things positive anyway, and thanks to the leftover memories from her last life, she is at least managing to survive inside the mansion. Margaret goes ahead and greets the two kids. Immediately, Cedric rushes up to her, asking what she brought this time and if it's a snack for him. Margaret shakes her head and says, "Nope, this one's for Cecilia." Cedric scoffs dramatically, acting like he just got betrayed by the universe, and asks if he doesn't even exist in her eyes. But Margaret straight up says no way in hell she's giving anything to him, because last time he took a bite of strawberry cake and literally spat it out like it was poison. Plus, she knows he doesn't like fruits anyway. Cedric protests that it's because the strawberry had way too many seeds. The very first thing Margaret has learned from staying in this mansion is that it's super easy to dodge the male lead if she just sticks with the kids. Diego has this weird thing where he thinks it's bad luck to run into his brother, so they avoid each other like the plague. Thanks to that, she can keep her head down and stay completely out of Diego's sight. But of course, chaos is her shadow, because Cedric suddenly snatches the fruit and bites into it, and instead of just eating the flesh, he chomps down like a maniac and gets the seed stuck in his mouth. Margaret smacks him right away, telling him he doesn't need to eat the seed, and asking why the hell he would eat a peach like it's a granola bar. Cedric glares at her, demanding why she dares to hit him and then scold him on top of it. Margaret ignores his melodrama and turns to Cecilia, telling her to eat only the flesh and not touch the pit. Cecilia eats the fruit like a proper little lady, clearly enjoying herself. Cedric scoffs again, muttering about how his sister doesn't even acknowledge his existence. But Cecilia is way too busy vibing with the apricot to care. Cedric stares at this scene like the world is actually crumbling around him. He's seriously questioning what the hell is even happening in this reality. The second important thing Margaret has learned in this world so far is that despite their scary first impression, both kids actually listen to their teacher really well. When she first met them, she was super nervous, expecting wild little monsters. But honestly, they're no different from normal kids who would probably wet their pants and cry if things got scary. Just as she starts today's session, someone calls out to Cedric, asking if he's inside. It's Anna, his mother. Entering, she freezes, realizing that he's actually right in the middle of class. And Margaret just thinks, yep, this is about to get messy. Margaret greets Anna politely and tells her that she is the new teacher. Anna, however, immediately notices Cecilia sitting there and questions why the girl is present. Margaret quickly explains that Cecilia was just getting bored, so she let her stay because she wasn't causing any kind of distraction. Anna calls Cecilia over, saying she heard from the butler that Cecilia has started doing math. She asks if Cecilia has begun addition yet. Cecilia, trembling like a little chihuahua in a thunderstorm, stammers that she hasn't. Anna turns to Margaret with a sharp look, demanding to know why her daughter's progress is so slow. Margaret apologizes sincerely, saying it just seems like Cecilia is finding addition difficult at her age. Anna glares at her, eyes blazing, and asks if Margaret is implying that her child is stupid. Right there, Margaret mentally notes the last important thing she's learned. She needs to stay far, far away from the Duchess. Anna has a fiery temper hotter than any chili pepper, and she is way more dangerous than the Duke, even though Margaret has barely encountered her before. Margaret tries to backpedal, explaining that she didn't mean it like that. What she meant is simply that Cecilia needs a different pace for education compared to other kids. Anna scoffs, saying Margaret is bold, too bold, and asks if she plans to teach her daughter the same way she teaches other children. Margaret is internally sweating bullets, fully convinced she's about to get fired. But then Cedric jumps in like an absolute chaos gremlin. He says it's actually true that Cecilia is stupid, because a child who couldn't even speak by the age of 5 is obviously slow. He turns to his mother and tells her she should just forget about Cecilia and focus on him, since he has already mastered the lineage of Mosquita, and that alone is impressive. Everyone in the room shouts, wondering what the hell this kid is even lying about now. After Anna leaves, Margaret whirls on Cedric, demanding to know why the hell he would call his sister stupid like that. Cedric shouts back, claiming he doesn't understand what they're saying, but he is the one who saved them from the devil. Margaret, nearly wanting to pull his hair out, tells him not to call his own mother a devil. Still, thanks to his ridiculous words, the Duchess at least left without making more trouble. As she walks, Margaret tells Cedric to stay still, or else they're all gonna fall, because if he causes chaos, it'll be a disaster. But, of course, disaster doesn't need to be summoned, it arrives naturally. And it arrives in the form of Diego. Margaret freezes on the spot, wondering what the hell he's doing here, because, seriously, out of all the people she didn't want to see, it had to be him. She greets him and says that this is the first time they are meeting. Diego, all smug energy, immediately decides she must be the new teacher. He scans the situation, points out loud that she looks like she's got this quiet aura with the kids, and then casually drops that he just came back from his stepmother, who was bragging non-stop about how Cedric did so good in his classes. Margaret, of course, adds that this is actually true, since the boy has already mastered the lineage, and honestly, this lie is getting bigger and brighter every day, like some prodigy who refuses to chill. Diego, instead of being impressed in a normal way, starts mocking, pretending like he's impressed that Cedric is flexing all this knowledge this early. Then, without skipping a beat, he calls Cedric out and points out that the boy doesn't even seem to bother acknowledging him anymore. Cedric, feeling the heat, apologizes for that, but Diego isn't letting it slide so easily. He throws shade, saying that maybe the teacher should also focus on teaching the kids some manners. Then he adds, with that sly smirk, that technically it should be the parents' job to take care of that, but in their specific case, both parents are kinda lacking in that area. Margaret agrees with him on this uncomfortable truth. After all, the Duke not only abused his former wife, but also had more affairs than anyone could count, while the current Duchess just stood there clapping like a supportive cheerleader of chaos. Still, saying this kind of thing in front of the children is really another matter, so Margaret sighs and quickly tells the kids to go to the training ground first. She asks them to hold each other's hands tightly and assures Barry that it's fine, they can head first. The kids, always ready to bounce, run off. But Diego, with that I'm the boss energy, suddenly drops that he doesn't recall asking the kids to leave first. Margaret immediately apologizes to him, but adds that adult matters should really be discussed only between the adults. She bows and insists that she is going to focus more on Cedric's manners from now on, since she is sure Cedric is still young, and he didn't mean it badly. He definitely didn't mean for it all to come out sounding rude. She is actually glad that she had the guts to say it, but at the same time, she wonders if this isn't technically the parents' job first, to treat the kids as kids. In her head, she's low-key panicking, wondering if she is about to get yelled at or straight up locked out for this. Diego, instead of blowing up, smiles and casually asks for her name. All shaken, she tells him that she is Margaret. Diego then points out that now he understands why the butler isn't worried about the kids' nanny situation, because she seems to be managing them quite well. Then he adds that, actually, his stepmother has been dying to hold a gathering just to praise his brother's big brain, but he reminded them that the Duke is way too busy for that right now. Still, if he helps his father today, then the Duke will be free by tomorrow, and boom, they can hold the gathering without delay. Diego says he is really looking forward to seeing how Cedric shows off his big brain lineage skills at tomorrow's dinner. Of course, the fancy tutor of the Lord is also going to attend, which basically turns Margaret's life into a rock concert of stress. After dropping all this heavy talk, he finally takes his leave. The gag is, the actual lineage of Mesquita is just 120 pages, but because of this one little lie, poor Cedric now has to memorize a monstrous 500 pages. Margaret knows deep down that if Cedric embarrasses himself tomorrow, the Duchess won't even hesitate before firing her on the spot. And if that happens, girl's got nothing to eat before her next job even starts. So here she is, sprinting like a track star, straight to Cedric. He is practicing in the training ground when he sees her running like a lunatic, asking her what in the world she's doing. Margaret shouts that now is not the time for questions. It's cram school o'clock. They are about to pull the ultimate all-nighter. And yes, that's exactly what happens. The three of them burn the midnight oil, grinding like gamers on a limited-time event. Margaret finally shakes Cedric awake and tells him that it's time for the dinner. She even asks him to rehearse while he's getting fitted for his test dress, multitasking like his life depends on it. Cedric, though, is at the verge of puking from overstuffed knowledge. Margaret, however, is relieved. They've done everything humanly possible. At least he took responsibility for his own lie, And all the tutoring, plus her own tragic memorization marathons from her previous life, is finally paying off. Now all that's left is the main event, the dinner showdown. Cedric sits on the chair, and he greets Diego first. Diego scoffs at him, saying that he would like Cedric not to disappoint them today. He then turns to Margaret and comments that she looks rather tired. Margaret throws back at him that she actually slept very well yesterday, so she really does not know what he is talking about. He scoffs again, pointing out that he heard the lights in the study room were not turned off last night. It is actually beginning to feel like a battle between the two of them. The Duke speaks, saying that the tutor who was hired by the butler has received a lot of praise because Cedric is doing a good job reading the map. Margaret mutters that the Duke and the Duchess do not seem to be interested in verifying Cedric's progress, and Diego is the one making the problem. He insists to the Duke that it seems Cedric is indeed doing a great job in history, and so why do they not check it out? The Duke coughs and asks Cedric not to overthink it all and just to answer it. The first question he poses is about how Regent Triosa treated the immigrants during the Great Famine. Cedric remembers that this was in the summary, so all he needs to do is state the points. He answers that the immigrants turned to illegal means because they had no place to settle, as the regent had ordered that this be severely punished. Most of the immigrants became slaves of the lowest class. As a result, Mesquita eradicated the crime that could have become greater. The Duke and the Duchess are literally stunned to see that Cedric is so clever. Diego then points out that several generations later, the royal family called for the abolition of slavery, and he asks Cedric to explain. Cedric tries to recall. Margaret cannot believe that Diego is really trying to embarrass the child like that, but Cedric answers that it is because the number of the homeless had increased, and the nobles rather preferred to have cheap slaves than free men. The livelihood of the common people became very difficult because of this. The resentment of the common people grew, and the royal family could no longer ignore it. Diego questions him further, asking who was the representative king who had slave reform as his long-cherished wish. Cedric replies that it is Bronte II. Margaret is super happy. After all, he is her student. There is a book that teaches the genealogy of the kings of all time by turning it into a song. Anna starts clapping, saying that Cedric really seems to have studied a lot, and she truly hopes that Cedric will soon be working with Diego. Diego points out that it also looks like Cedric is really doing his best and not skipping anything at all. He praises him wholeheartedly, making Cedric smile. Cedric bows and says thank you, adding that he heard Diego was even more talented than him when he was his age, and like him, his dream is to become like his brother. Everyone is really stunned. The Duke smiles at this, enjoying it so much to see the two behaving so friendly. He then asks them all to drink up, and today he feels like he needs to drink a little more. He says to Margaret that he is going to give her a gift for doing this well, and that she can come to his office to get it. Just like that, the little wine party starts. Later, Margaret is secretly wondering what about her reward, because apparently the Duke is no longer in his room. It is clear that he went somewhere else to drink more with the Duchess, but she cannot say anything. After all, who is she to regret not having money? The Duke's life is nearly at its end, and she has no intention of getting involved with Diego after that. The only way to run away with the kids is to fill her pocket with some money, so she plans to wait a little more for the Duke in his study. She heads to the room and sees that Diego is sitting there by the window, reading a roll, when he calls out for her. When she asks him what he is doing here, he replies, questioning if it is really that strange for him to be in his own library, simply to get a book to read before he sleeps. She thinks that she should go, because it is the last time she would like to spend any quality time with a murderer. He admits that, if he is being honest, she really did surprise him earlier, because he knows Cedric has not been paying much attention in his classes, but it seemed as if some kind of magic happened overnight. She reasons that Cedric really did learn it all, and it was not magic at all. She notices he is moving a little closer to her, but Diego hears her stepping away and asks why she is moving farther. She answers that they can talk perfectly well from 5 feet away too. He replies that it is true, but at that distance, he cannot really see her eyes. She looks at him when he points out that with those thick glasses, she cannot believe what he is saying. After all, it is the essence of a teacher, and she had truly thought they looked stylish too. She tells him that it is really good his brother is taking part in studying, because after all, the two of them are family. Diego says that the way she is saying it makes it seem like they are actually a real family, but she wonders why he would do something like that, because it is one thing to hate his abusive parents, but why did he have to kill the children too? He notices that she really does look like a decent woman, and he thinks she should leave this house. She tells him she is only trying to do her job as a teacher. The two of them hear the Duke and the Duchess talking. They hear the Duchess say that they should cripple Diego. The Duke responds that it is not so easy, because no matter what, he is still his eldest son. He asks the Duchess if she really thinks getting rid of him is going to be this easy. Diego comments that it feels like he heard something. She quickly tells him it must be some kind of rat. Diego asks her what she means by that, because to him it clearly feels like a person talking. She knows that he cannot be allowed to hear everything, so Margaret covers his ears to block the words about his father talking of hiring an assassin to kill him, just so Anna can be happy, and Diego can soon be dead or crippled. Diego takes her hands away from his ears, saying he understands now why she made the excuse about a rat. He asks her to simply forget what she heard. He turns away to leave. She notices that he turns as though nothing has happened, but now she also understands why he had to kill all of his family. Because to survive, he had to kill first. He also tells her that if she is planning to use what she just heard, he would suggest she not do it, because in that case, she will not be able to get out of the capital alive. Margaret answers that she was not planning on doing so, and instead asks him if he is okay. Diego wonders why, of course he would not be, and then he gives her a piece of advice: to find another job, because if she stays here any longer, she will lose her mind. In that moment, she realizes that his advice is his final warning of mercy. The next day, Cedric asks her what is wrong with her, and if she drank that much last night to look this wasted. She, all wobbly, lies that she does not even know what alcohol is. Cedric scoffs, saying she smells like alcohol. She cannot believe this, because she tried her best to get rid of the smell, so she covers it up by pretending that there were some adult matters that needed to be handled. She notices that she has been too relaxed, that with the Duke's death approaching, she has done nothing but live peacefully with the kids. Now she realizes she truly needs to come up with a much better plan. Diego is in the middle of changing when he hears a knock at the door. He wonders if the butler has already arrived, but instead, it is Margaret. He lets her in, and she is glad that she is finally able to meet him after waiting for so long. She is fully set, determined to tell him everything. Still down thinking that it is the butler, he says he will review the documents so she can leave them on the desk. Seeing him changing, Margaret grows flustered, her face turning red, while Diego himself is shocked to see her there. She assures him that she has not seen anything. He sighs and asks her to simply state why she is here. She clears her throat and points out that she has come to ask for a favor. She explains that it is really not that big. The weather is nice, the garden is fully bloomed, and she begins to lead into her request. Diego, however, already sees where this is going. It feels so predictable. He has seen plenty of women who exchanged barely a few words with him and immediately began building fantasies around him. He wonders if she thinks she has some leverage because of that incident. Margaret insists that it is a shame to waste such a fine day, and suggests that he take his younger siblings out for an outing. Diego is taken aback, nearly gasping, as he asks why exactly he should be the one to do such a thing. She explains that on the day after he left the study, she remained behind, and, because of that, managed to hear quite a bit. He makes it very clear that whatever she overheard has nothing she can use against him. If she is thinking of blackmailing him, she will not get far. Margaret insists that she is not trying to blackmail him, but only making an offer. It is something that will not bring him any loss. From what she has heard, it seems that the Duke has planted a spy in the Marquis's household. Actually, she learned this from a book, but Diego quickly notices that the Marquis is on his mother's side. They have even helped him so that the Duke cannot change the heir, given their strong mutual interests. Because of that, it is going to be difficult for Diego to openly search for the spy. He sighs and asks what exactly she wants from him. Margaret replies that all he needs to do is spend some time with his siblings. Diego replies that if that is all she wants, that it is fine, but she herself is displeased. Taking care of children is not such an easy task. Soon, the scene shifts to the children, and even Diego looks uncomfortable. He asks since when the tea party has turned into an outdoor lesson. Margaret explains that it is all about enjoying nature. She has even brought along a plant encyclopedia, and today they are going to learn about a few plant species. Cedric questions what they will even do with such knowledge, but Margaret explains that it is essential for thoughtful gift-giving, for cultivating an elegant garden, and more. Then, she proposes turning the activity into a game. Whoever finds the most flowers in the book will be the winner. Cecilia asks what the prize will be, and Margaret says that it depends on the winner. They can receive a snack and even skip a lesson. With that, she calls for everyone to get ready, and the two children immediately start running off. Diego thinks that offering the prize of a lesson skip is a bold move to make right in front of the employer. Margaret looks back at him, asking why he is still sitting there, as if he plans to simply watch. Diego understands that she is implying he must also participate in the game if he wants the spy's name. He knows that this is also her way of getting back at him for testing Cedric, but she is not listening to any of his reasoning. She points out that his siblings have already found one flower, and at this rate he is really going to lose. With a pout, Diego stands, removes his coat, and mutters that if he ever starts to hate the profession of teaching, it will be entirely because of her. Margaret can see that if she pushes him too hard, she will not survive the consequences. Meanwhile, Cecilia is busy finding flowers when suddenly, she notices that someone is behind her. She sees that it is Diego. He tells her that it looks like she has gotten a lot of flowers. He suggests that she show him what she has gathered so far, but she refuses. He asks why she is making that face and if she really thinks he is going to take them away from her. She nods at this. He tries to bribe her, asking how about if he gives her some gifts like cookies, dresses, and even jewelry, because whatever she is going to get from him will be much better than from her teacher. So it is just like that Diego the demon tries to bribe a child. But in that moment, Cedric comes and cannot believe what he sees, that his brother is cheating. He cannot believe that his perfect brother has such a dark side too. He starts to shout to Margaret that Diego is cheating. Diego shuts his mouth and assures him that he will get whatever he wants. But just at that time, Margaret also sees, and she asks him whether surely he was not planning to win this by bribing his siblings. Cecilia becomes sad that Diego got scolded by the teacher. She goes to Diego and tells him she is sorry, then gives him the flower. He gets down on his knees and says that the truth was he only wanted the flowers. Cecilia is completely flushed to see the two of them like this, because she has seen this pose in a fairy tale. She shouts that it looks like Diego has confessed to Margaret, but Margaret shouts back that he did not. Later she asks Diego how he managed to trick Cecilia. He is not sure what she is talking about, because it is strange that Cecilia went to such great lengths just to defend him. But he mocks her, saying that if even the teacher cannot understand a child's heart, then who else can? He finally asks the real question of who the spy is. She says that it is his great-uncle, Lord Franch, because he thinks Diego is after the Marquise's estate too. The current Marquis is not in good health, and also the eldest son passed away, so there is no other heir. His uncle thinks that if he is the one inheriting the title, it would be better than the younger son of the Marquis. Diego agrees that it is not surprising, because his uncle never liked him or his mother, though his grandfather was really fond of the uncle. But the child his grandfather adored the most was his mother. Margaret questions him about what his mother was like, because now that she thinks about it, she realizes she does not know anything about Diego's mother. In the noble society, she was always described as an unattractive girl. Diego says that his mother was incredibly wise. She sees then that he can also make that expression, the expression that is full of affection. Diego takes note of why she is looking at him like this, but she denies it, saying she was not staring at all. He can see that she was, because she is awkwardly fidgeting with that flower. She mentions that where she grew up, they had something called the language of flowers, and they could assign symbolic meanings based on the characteristics of the flowers. Diego asks her what the flower in her hand means. She says that it means peace at home. Diego says to her that she should give it to him so he can throw it away. Margaret, however, notices something and holds his hand. She asks if he is one of those people who believe that flowers should not be thrown away, but then she also points out what is on his hand. He wonders that after all she heard in the study that day, she is still surprised, because last night an assassin came to pay him a visit. Margaret asks Diego how many came and whether he is badly hurt. He responds that he knew in advance, so he is not that badly hurt, only a wrist injury that is not too serious, and on top of that, he is curious why she is making that face. Diego, as seen in the novel, is nothing more than a flat villain, but in reality, he is far too multifaceted to be easily defined. Still, it is certain that he is a casual man. Cecilia comes from behind and declares that she is super sleepy, and Cedric is also sleepy, so she plans to let them take a nap. She tells the two of them to sleep. Diego observes that the two children are sleeping so warmly and comfortably in the broad sunlight. Margaret remarks that children get sleepy easily, and even he had times like this. Diego looks at Cecilia and pokes her hand with his finger, It turns out to be a more peaceful day than expected, and she wonders if she can be hopeful, so she asks if in the future they can have times like these again. But he turns it down easily, and more so because this is the last day of something like that, and as he walks away he thinks that he understands it now. Because Margaret is also a threat to him. It is not so much that she wants to sit next to him, rather that she only pities him, because she does not mean anything by it, and she is the type who values family unity. She is the kind of person who believes that children deserve to be loved, and she is also the person who is going to interfere in his big plan. If she tries to stop him from moving the kids out of the mansion, then she will also die. He sighs that according to the butler she is from the north, and if only he could send her there, they could carry out the mission easily. But the lingering moment of her taking care of him will not leave his mind. He sighs again that he should not show any consideration to her. After all, she is just a woman with nothing, and it is all useless. Meanwhile, Cedric is waking very happily because he knows today is the best day, and with both his parents out, he has also grown taller recently. Cecilia is also becoming more and more talkative, and on top of that, he is feeling closer to his brother. At first, he was really embarrassed that Margaret brought him to the class, but he stayed with him until his nap time, and now they are getting closer and closer. Yet the moment he opens the door, he sees that his mother is there. Anna calls to him, telling him to come over because she also has something to say to him. Cedric asks her if she does not have to leave for the grand festival. She says to him that she had something to say to him, so she told the others that she would come separately. He then asks about Cecilia and Margaret, and Anna replies that she has asked them to start the class a little late, so they must be waiting for him in the room. She points out that his answer at the last dinner was really great, and that the Duke was truly satisfied too, and it is natural that he is going to become the heir. But there is only a minor problem that is soon going to be resolved as well. Still, there is one more thing that he needs to note, and that is not to dare even jokingly try to praise Diego, especially not in front of the Duke, because the Duke really hates Diego very much. Cedric tells his mother that he is not interested in titles. She snorts at this, and he shouts that she also knows that he would not be able to do much better anyway, because his brother is truly good compared to him, and the eldest son is his brother, so how could he be greedy? His mother glares at him, and Cedric shuts his eyes, because it is really scary. If only Margaret was here, she would have said to him that it is okay, that he does not have to think about things like that. Anna says to him that he is still young, and does not know anything about such matters, because if he gives up the title, what does he think is going to happen if she and the Duke disappear? There will be no one who is going to protect the mansion, and that brother of his is going to cut them down too. Cedric shouts that there is no way his brother would do that. Anna shouts back that it will definitely happen, so he had better stop talking nonsense. Cedric is shouting as he states that it is not true, because he can laugh and talk with his brother without any discomfort, and they even hang out with him recently, so his brother does not hate him that much. He insists that the two of them are actually trying to get along, but Anna is left completely shocked as she asks him if his Rachel, Margaret, was the one who made them hang out with Diego. The scene shifts to the kitchen, where Margaret greets the chef lady. She explains to the woman that she overslept because the man said that the class is going to be late today, as she needs to have a talk with Cedric. The lady hands her something to eat, and while Margaret is eating, she asks the woman how long she has been working there. The lady replies that it is going to be about 15 years. Margaret then asks if she also knows about Diego's mother. The lady warns her to keep this matter quiet because talking about it is not allowed. Margaret only smiles, saying that she just wanted to know what kind of person she really was. The lady answers that Diego's mother was truly a poised lady. She was a little picky, but after all, she was a noblewoman. She was also well versed in art, and she used to fill the entire mansion with her works. The lady admits that she has not yet finished cleaning all of those artworks, but even she, who never knew much about art, was mesmerized by them. Margaret then asks if Diego's mother died from the plague. The lady explains that this is what the doctor said, but in truth, only Diego's mother died from that plague, and as soon as the funeral ended, Anna came into the mansion. Margaret laughs, realizing that she has already spoken too much, and she requests the lady not to talk about such matters to anyone else. The woman continues by saying that most of the mansion is, however, empty, because a lack of them have gone to the festival, and a few have gone home to pray. She adds that it is more like a holiday, since this land is an agricultural country, and they have always celebrated large festivals. Yet she feels as if she has forgotten something, wondering why it was during this season that the Duke was suddenly killed. Suddenly, a maid rushes into the room to inform her that Anna is calling for her. Margaret is standing in front of Anna, who asks her how she is supposed to tolerate this situation. Margaret apologizes sincerely, saying that she is very sorry, but she truly does not understand what Anna is talking about. Anna scoffs at her, accusing her of being very good at acting, claiming that Margaret deceives her with this calm face of hers. Margaret responds that if Anna can tell her exactly what the problem is, only then will she be able to explain it better. She wishes for Anna to explain why Cedric was hanging out with Diego. Margaret becomes flustered, realizing that this matter is now out in the open. She had specifically told the children to keep it a secret from their mother, but it is her own mistake for overlooking the fact that they are still young. It is a situation that could have happened, regardless. Margaret tells Anna that she can explain what really happened, but Anna shakes her head, saying that she does not want to hear anything, because she has already made it clear to her that the children should not run into Diego. Margaret bows before her, apologizing once again, saying that she is truly sorry for creating the situation that turned into this misunderstanding, and she promises to be more careful from now on. Anna scoffs again, thinking that being born as a noble is nothing great if Margaret is here begging her like this. She wonders if she should simply dismiss her this time, and says outright to Margaret that she is not going to trust her. Cedric then comes to Anna and tells her that Margaret did nothing wrong, and that he was the one who asked her to allow it because he wanted to be with his brother. Margaret also looks at Cedric with concern, but Anna reacts harshly. She slaps Margaret, and then turns to Cedric, telling him that she has already warned him not to spout such nonsense. She adds that this is what others will have to suffer because of his actions, and she low-key asks him if Margaret is not enlightened, should she also bring his sister too? Margaret asks Anna what the heck she is doing, but Anna points out that if Margaret can see, she is trying to discipline Cedric. Margaret asks if she is being for real, like, is she actually hitting Cecilia to teach Cedric a lesson? Anna sighs in a dramatic extra way, saying that sometimes even kids need discipline. Margaret totally snaps, shouting that Anna is actually abusing the kids, not disciplining them. Anna claps back, shouting that how dare a mere employee raise her voice at her, and she must be out of her mind for doing so. Margaret comes back with fire, saying that taking a child hostage as a grown adult is the definition of coward vibes, and now she understands why Cedric always protects Cecilia right in front of the Duchess, and why Cecilia is always nervous when the Duchess is around. This whole mansion gives nothing but cruel energy, and she really doesn't understand how far they are planning to go. Margaret says that if this is how Anna thinks education goes, then honestly, she cannot tolerate it, because Anna is not qualified enough to be called a parent. Anna only laughs in that unhinged, I lost the plot kind of way, asking if Margaret is really delusional enough to think she is a parent just because she takes care of kids. She asks how dare Margaret try to lecture her and interfere in their business. Margaret shouts that Anna's so-called discipline is not education but actual abuse, and she, as a teacher, is obliged to protect both Cedric and Cecilia. Anna says it's really a pity, but Margaret is not anymore, because she is fired and must be out of this mansion by evening. After Anna leaves, Margaret turns to Cedric, asking him to come to her. She starts to inspect him like a mom friend, with serious concern. She sees that there is no particular wound on his arm, his legs are fine too, and really there are no significant injuries. She is relieved, but deep down she does not think the same can be said for Cecilia. Cedric calls to Margaret, but she assures him that she is really fine. Cedric goes ahead and hugs her tight, tears streaming, as he admits he was genuinely happy with Margaret. Like seriously, the happiest ever. Margaret tells him with a soft smile that she is not going anywhere. Cedric questions her, confused why, because he literally just heard she got fired. Margaret only smiles with a quiet, don't worry fam energy, saying it is all right. She just needs to find and meet someone who is going to overturn this whole thing, no cap. Right at the moment she has a few choices, and it's giving major life-changing decisions vibes. The first thing is to prevent Diego's murder. The method may be a bit difficult, but it is not impossible to achieve. The survival of the Duke could totally change the future, and if so, at least Cedric and Cecilia's lives would be guaranteed. But the catch is that she needs Cedric to tell the Duke the truth, that Anna is out here abusing Lady Cecilia, so the Duke knows what's up and can actually solve it. Cedric, however, says that it won't work, because their father already knows about this. Margaret insists that it does seem like the Duke likes him, but Cedric clears it up straight, saying that is not the case. The Duke only uses him as a flex to show off to Diego, and he only wants him to become the successor. It is just because he is the son of his mother. The Duke pretends to be the kind-hearted father, but low-key he just does it to torment Diego. Even if they survive Diego, she wonders if the children will be able to live happily in that toxic environment. Another option on the table is to just let the Duchess die, because there is no way Diego is going to let the Duchess live after killing the Duke. If that happens, the mansion is going to be in chaos for a while. If they can bounce during that time, they might not be able to live with luxury anymore, but at least they would grow up in a good environment, with countless tomorrows ahead of them. And honestly, that sounds like way better vibes than growing up in a cruel mansion with fake smiles and abuse. She wonders how Diego is going to handle all these things, because he is someone who has grown up all alone. She helps and meets Diego, and she says to him that he will need a black bow soon. He replies with calm assurance that he is thankful for her concern, but what he is going to wear depends entirely on him. It does not matter if he does not listen to her right away, because she has only planted a clue on the off chance. The way to prove that she is worth dealing with is through the Duke's death, and Diego will definitely agree to her deal, just like when the original protagonist Adriana once proposed a contract marriage to him. She feels sorry to Adriana for getting ahead of herself, but she has no choice, because she is going to save those children no matter what, and also Diego, because she does not want him to die. Diego thinks that the way she said to wear the black tie feels as if she already knows what is going to happen today. He then goes and meets a hooded man and asks about the crowd. The man tells him that they have been moved to the inner waiting room. He questions if the guards have also left their posts, and the man explains that they have messed up the shift schedule, so there will not be anyone around for about 30 minutes. The man assures him that he is going to do this without any failure. Diego then takes his leave. He wonders that a father is supposed to be someone precious to one, but he wonders why his father has always been a total stranger to him. Yet this is not just his problem. Unlike his relationship with his father, his mother and he could say that they loved each other without any lies. So he wonders what the difference is between them and the ordinary rich people. If things had been different, he would not have had to come this far. He goes to the room and calls his father, thinking to himself that if only he had been more wary of his father, things might have been a little different. He declares to the Duke that he is here to tell him something. The Duke says to him that they will talk about it later, so he should go and orders him to leave now. But Diego mentions that he has something to ask his father, and while speaking, he takes out the dagger and demands to know if he recognizes what this is. Seeing this dagger, the Duke panics. The Duke lies that he does not know anything about this and questions why he would even know about such matters. Diego sighs, realizing that it looks as though his father does not quite remember. He presses the dagger to his own throat and asks if he remembers now, because he is sure this is the picture the Duke must have wanted. The Duke is stunned, for how could he not remember? After all, he is the one who personally handed this knife to the assassin. He asks if he can see the look in Diego's eyes, as if Diego already knows that he is the one who ordered his death. The Duke is terrified, realizing that indeed Diego is the best swordsman, because not only did he survive the assassination, but he also uncovered who planned it all. Diego scoffs at him, which is why he moves back. The Duke shouts at him to step away, asking if he is really going to commit such an unforgivable act against his own father. But Diego asks him in return if he has ever, even once, acted like a father to him. The Duke shouts that how dare he try to put a knife in front of his own father. Diego kneels when the Duke begins to cry, saying that he knew something like this would happen. He knew that Diego would grow up to become this devil, and that is why he did all of that to him, to educate a person like him. There was no other way but to force him. Diego raises his knife and asks if this is truly his end. Seeing this, the Duke calls out to him, cursing him as a damn bastard, and then he is killed. Diego sighs that his father does not even know the fact of his birth. After this, it becomes the curse of Diego, one that will never leave him. Escaping a predicted death does not necessarily mean escaping a tragic death. The death of Duke Aiden throws the whole family into turmoil. The Duchess loses her mind when she learns about her husband's death. She acts like someone who denies reality and does not want to wake from a dream, refusing to rise until all preparations are complete. The criminal Diego had brought was also caught at the temple. The culprit pathetically claims that he was drunk, and seeing that the guards were not there, took advantage and killed the Duke. The Duchess feels deep resentment toward the nobles for putting the blame on the lower class. And just like that, Diego gains the title of Duke. With the sudden death of the former Duke, all the servants rush back, busy with preparations, dressing the children in mourning clothes, a duty that lies under Anna's responsibility. She asks Cedric if he is all right. Cedric replies no. She then asks him if he is sad, but he replies that it is not really sadness. It feels more like someone has died, with whom he was never close at all. He wonders how long it will take him to actually feel grief. Anna assures him that he will miss him, because even people with bad memories of someone eventually miss them sometimes. She then turns to Cecilia and tells her that she needs to change her clothes as well, but Cecilia refuses. Fed up with all this, Margaret tries to reach for her, but Cecilia pushes her hand away, looking irritated. Margaret can see that she wants to pretend that no one has died, but again, it will be the last time that she will be seeing her father. Cedric says to Margaret that it is all right, and they should go. After all, Cecilia is still too young for this. Margaret says okay, and adds to Cecilia that they will be back soon. Cedric, once outside, asks her how Cecilia is now, and she assures him that she will be fine with some rest. She pats him, saying that sometimes she feels like he has matured too early, but he throws a tantrum, declaring that it is because he has grown up. Anna sees that Margaret is still here, and she says to her that she has clearly told her to leave the mansion, but saying this, she leaves. It looks like she has truly lost her mind, which is only natural, considering that she, out of the blue, has had to attend her husband's funeral. She is glad that at least she was able to attend the funeral, because she wants to meet Diego, and she is going to make a deal with him at the graveyard. Diego gives the speech that his father was a remarkable man, also a steadfast man, who gave the family stability, a faithful friend, and a loyal subject, and his loss is going to make them suffer for a long time. Anna cannot believe that this bastard can write such a hypocritical speech, but it jolts her that if truly a tombstone can be made the very day after a person dies, then it proves there is no way her husband would die so suddenly. She glares at Diego, questioning why her husband is dead instead of him. She starts to hit him, declaring that she knows it was him who killed his father, because there is no way a funeral could proceed this quickly. Diego grabs her hand, understanding that she is in shock, but adds that he is also his son, so how could she say such terrible things? But she keeps hitting him. The people begin to murmur that they were aware of the Duchess's fiery temper, but to say that she is accusing Diego is simply too much. Yet they all know that both the Duke and the Duchess only ever favored the second son, and it was just the Duke's greed for changing the titles, because from the start, it did not make sense to ask the second child to become the heir. Margaret cannot believe that they can say such things when the person they are talking about is standing right with her. Diego then says to all of them that they are here to bid farewell to his father and that he would not like them to dishonor anyone. The people answer that they only said that because they were worried about him being accused by the Duchess. Diego then goes and asks Cedric if he is okay, and he replies yes. He then questions Margaret about where Cecilia is. Margaret points out that she refuses to come after all, since she is too young to attend a funeral. He points out that the guardian is out of her mind, so how can they hope for the children? She notes that he has set a perfect stage. She does not feel like stepping into the stage, but in order to show the stage, she says to him that it turns out he